Hello everyone, Supercool Central here. Welcome back to another video. And today I'm updating my house rankings. If you guys don't know how this works, I will go from west to east to west on this map. It's not like my other predictions where I go for my ratings. I just go by region, west to east, east to west. So yeah. So we'll start with Maine and go to California and Alaska, and I'll get my ratings for each seat. Alright, enough of wasting your guys' time. I'm gonna get right into it, starting up here in the Northeast with Maine's 2nd District. I got it, Tilt Republican. Again, Jaragon won the seat in good years for Trump. He won in 18, but again, but with him leaving the Congress, it should flip, but with how the recent environment is looking, I can't justify anything more than tilt. New Hampshire 02, the Pappas seat being vacated because of Pappas running for the Senate. That's likely Democrat. No good environment this year for Republicans would um, it would require a good environment for Republicans to flip that seat, and it's not going to be a good environment. They're already trailing in the generic ballot by about 5.5 points. Yeah, it's not going to be a good environment. Down here in Connecticut, I got likely D for the 5th. Over in New York, the 1st. Here, I got likely Republican. The 11th, likely Republican. I have the 11th not safe right now because the courts overturned that district. We'll probably get a new map in New York that mostly changes down here in the Long Island and Staten Island and the New York City area. All right, Mike Lawler seat, lean Democrat. I don't see Lawler hanging on, but he should be pretty competitive. All right, the 19th, I got likely Democrat. It's not gonna flip in a blue year, but can't rule out being competitive. All right, down here in New Jersey, Pennsylvania. New Jersey 7. Still think Tom Kane Jr. is a little bit of a favorite since Mikey Sherrill, even in a landslide last year, barely won that district. I got it sticking with the Republicans for right now, but a tilt margin. Alright, down in Pennsylvania, I got the 8th in the 10th as lean Democrats. Weak incumbents, good environment for the Democrats should be some of the first flips of that fall night in November should be the first flips of that night of election night. Pennsylvania won. Even in a blue wave, I do not see Brian Fitzpatrick losing. Unfortunately for Democrats, he continues to be overperforming. And until he retires, that seat is probably going to be likely Republican. All right, in the 8th. I see it being tilt Republican right now because of the margins in the 8th, in the 7th are close, I say, but it still should be a split outcome here. Alright, down to Virginia and the Carolinas. Alright, I got the 1st as leaned Republican. If the new map passes, it's going to have a whole new ratings here in Virginia. Alright, for the 2nd, I got lean Democrat. In the 7th, I got lean likely Democrat in the 7th. Alright, for North Carolina now. The Carolinas now. North Carolina 1, I got tilt Republican. I got likely Republicans in the 3rd and the 11th. Don Davis is a pretty strong incumbent, but with Republicans gerrymandering this map further to make the 3rd more competitive and make the 1st more Republican, it's going to be very interesting. But Don Davis is the underdog. The open dancing Mace seat, I got it likely Republican. It will take a huge flip night for it to flip. Alright, up into the Ohio River Valley, and starting with Ohio, we got several seats here. With the 13th, I got a likely Democrat. Same with the 1st. Even though they gerrymandered the 1st, I still think with how strong Landsman is, I don't see it being horribly competitive. I got Tilt Democrat in the captor seat. It might be that night where captor loses, but with how the environment's well again, I feel like captor could still win. Should right now the environment shows captor could be a slight favorite, so that's why it's still Democrat. Alright, for the 15th, I got it likely Republican, same with the 7th of Ohio. Could be competitive. And then the 10th, leaned Republican. In a way of year, this could be a huge dummy mander in Ohio. Alright, in Indiana, I got likely Republican in the 5th and likely Democrat in the 1st. They tried to gerrymander this map, didn't work. They didn't get it passed, so this will be the map for this year. And Democrats should do well in their districts held and could make the 5th competitive. Alright, Kentucky 6, open seat. I got it being likely Republican. Tennessee 5th, lean Republican. Look, Andy Ogle's very weak incumbent, but with a pretty red district, I see it. I can't go lower than lean. Over in Missouri 2nd, I got likely Republican. Alright, let's go down to Florida. Starting off with the 7th, likely Republican. Lean Republican in the 13th, and then the 9th and 23 should both be likely Democrats. Alright, up into the upper Midwest. Alright, so for Michigan, I got the 4th being likely Republican. This is the 8th likely Democrat. Lean Democrat in both the 7th and the 10th. Over in Wisconsin, likely Republican in the 1st. I got lean Democrat in the 3rd. Alright. In Minnesota, likely Republican in the 1st and 8th. This is the 8th, is the 1st, and then likely Democrat in the 2nd. Alright, now we'll go down to Iowa. I got likely Republican in the 1st. Likely Democrat in the 2nd. Then lean Democrat in the 3rd. Over in Nebraska 2, likely Democrat. Alright, down into Kansas. Likely for Republican in the 2nd. I see it maybe being competitive this year. Down into Texas. With how things have been going with that insane special, I'm making big changes here. These receipts, which I had saved in the last time I did these ratings, I have shifted them to the left into likely Republican. I don't see any of those flipping back to, well, Democrats keeping the 32nd and the 9th. But likely Republican instead of safe. The 28th, I now have likely Democrat. Cuellar got pardoned, and with how the Latino population could be shifting back to the Democrats, I see as likely. And then down here in the Vicente Gonzalez seat, I got it as lean Democrat as well. He's an overperformer. The new outside San Antonio seat, I got that as lean Republican. And then this seat, the 15th, that's also lean Republican. I think if the RGB shifts back to the Democrats, this could flip. Alright, over into Colorado. I got likely Republican in these two seats, lean Republican in the third, and then I got a tilt Democrat in the 8th. Alright, up to the northwest. Montana's second or first? I don't really, it doesn't really matter. The only competitive district in Montana, I got a lean Republican. And then these two, Marie Gluesenkamp has a seat in Washington's third. I got a lean Democrat. But outside of that, of Maine second, that is the most endangered Democratic seat, I believe, and I believe it's going to be. I have Gluesenkamp Perez. He'll be a slight favorite. It's going to be pretty good favorite. And then the Oregon's fifth, I got it as likely Democrat. Down into Arizona, Nevada, I got these two seats as likely Democrat. There's with Mark Almaday retiring up here. There's some shifts to the left here by ratings. I'm gonna keep it a safe Republican for right now. I'll change it if I see anything more shift for the Republicans to the left for the Democrats. My bad. All right, Arizona. Lean Democrat in these two seats. Democrats starting to look pretty favored in those two seats. I got likely Republican here in the now second because it's pretty Republican areas up here in Northwest and then down into the south part of the district. Going to be too much to overcome in the very big red areas in that district for Democrats to win there. Over in California, I have this being likely Democrat, lean Democrat in the 22nd, lean Democrat in the 40th. That's the new, and then in the I think that's the 48th. My bad. And then the new 40th, lean likely Republican, and then in Alaska, lean Republican. All right, everyone. So that is my new prediction here. We got 229 Democrats, 206 Republicans. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.